welcome back to the 2014 League of Legends World Championship. Before we get into our next game, there has been some controversy regarding the results of yesterday's Fnatic versus OMG game. Our League Operations team will put an official update on lolesports.com shortly, so make sure you go there to check it out and read up on the details. For now, I'd like to welcome Mitch Crepo Forceballs and David Freak Turley to the desk, who've swapped in for the second half of the day. Guys, thank you very much for joining us.
You're welcome.
It is time for Fnatic to take on Samsung Blue. With Samsung Blue's win earlier today, they are guaranteed that #1 seed going into the quarterfinals. And in order for Fnatic to take the second seed, they must win this game, and they need help from LMQ later today because they will need LMQ to beat OMG. All right, that's the important thing to note if you're rooting for Fnatic. Let's talk about Samsung Blue because I think they played extremely sloppy, and I was incredibly unimpressed with their match earlier today.
Well, they had a very clean early game. It was only in the mid game where Def started flashing into 5 that things got a little crazy. But yeah, their mid and late game was pretty bad.
I do have to, though, give some credit to their actual teamwork adaptations. I was watching that game upstairs, and I started thinking about the team compositions. And what I liked so much was that they actually put together this 3-man tanky dive squad, the Kassadin, the Maokai, the Rengar, who can't die against Orianna Rumble. Like, they're not going to blow up to that, and Kog'Maw's the guy getting jumped on. And so Deft was kind of on his own being like, okay, don't dive into them, but just don't die. And even if you do die, that's okay because we've killed their AD carry as well. And so they kind of had this game where they got to stall out for a while, get that front line too big to be killed, to burst, because that's how that works generally as a sort of class matchup, and then play the game out from there. I thought that was actually very stellar.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, but I really think it never should have even gotten to that
Sure,
point.
no. I'm just saying, for what it's worth, the good sides was they found that good winning condition at the end.
Crepo, double have brought up a point regarding Def's positioning, not only in this game, but some of the other games. The last time Fnatic beat Samsung Blue was an incredibly clean win, and Reckless was a large part of that. So let's talk about the AD carries, what you think about Def, what you think about Reckless in this matchup, and just how important it is as well.
I think both are just really good at this game. And Deft, I think Deft at his highest skill, if you see like the best moments of Deft, they're just flat out amazing. That dude can like sidestep everything. But on the world stage, people have been picking a lot of CC in his direction. Yeah, I'm sure he'll dodge the cocoon and then the hook, but then El Charm will come out afterwards.
Yeah.
And then people are literally targeting him with everything. What impressed me the most though about Deft and just Blue in general is their stealth play. They have this ability to get these stealth gangs off that just make their opponents look dumb. Sometimes they'll show up with, why are you still there? Why are you getting caught right now? But it's so subtle, and you only realize it unless you've played on the highest level and you've played against the teams that do this. Their like ganks are just perfect, and I really want to look forward to see if Fnatic will actually let them do that, or even let them have those picks.
Well, those mind games that we saw in their last one in the early phase, where they kept thinking Deft had recalled out of top lane, but
and
he just showed up and just
Guess
killed.
who's back?
Yeah, just
Back again. It's Deft.
All right, well, let's talk about some of the scenarios. There are 2 games left in Group C. Therefore, there are 4 potential scenarios to take a look at when we consider tiebreakers. So let's take a look at what the 4 options are. The way you read this graphic, you read from left to right, top to bottom. So in the Fnatic versus Samsung Blue game, either Fnatic or Blue can win, followed by OMG versus LMQ. Again, either LMQ or OMG can win. Depending on the results, depend on where the tiebreaker or potential tiebreaker will land. Option number 1, Fnatic against LMQ. If Fnatic wins and LMQ wins, Samsung Blue will obviously take first in all scenarios, but is a tiebreaker once again between LCS regions. For all remaining options, depending on the wins, either OMG or LMQ automatically get that second seed into the quarterfinals. So this is a battle between 3 teams chasing for second spot. Right, that does it for the tiebreakers. I want to talk to our analysts and get some predictions, see where you guys are standing. Are you with Fnatic or are you with Samsung Blue? Knowing where some of these possibilities are, knowing who's going to be more hungry for the win. Crepo, you're new to the desk for now. Who is your prediction and why?
Well, every time I've gone against the grain and tried to like not predict an upset, the upset happens. So this time I'm gonna beat the race. I'm gonna say Fnatic's gonna win this game.
All right, so Fnatic. Let's go Crumbs.
I'm going to have to side with Samsung Blue for this one. So even though they look pretty sloppy in that game against LMQ, if they were to just have closed the game out the way it should have been, that would have been just a complete slaughter.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Samsung Blue as well, although I do think that it's very possible for Fnatic to win again, not only because they did have such an impressive victory last time, but because Samsung Blue is out of this group at number 1. They're going to be eager not to show anything else to their opponents going into the quarterfinals. So they don't really have much to play for right now. They'll probably just fall back on, some old champion picks, old strategies. And so it should be something that Fnatic has seen and can read. But even so, Blue still.
Yeah, I do agree with all those points. I do think Fnatic has a chance, but last time even though Fnatic beat these guys last time around, it was off some incredibly good, best they've ever seen them individual plays, and I don't think they're going to have that again. Samsung Blue probably 80% of the time is going to win this game.
There's a new prophet in town. Fnatic's going to take this.
Right, let's get an update from lolesports.com. Right now, it is sitting with Fnatic, leading the vote with 63%. Let's see if they can come out on top. We're going to hand things over to our second rotation of Shoutcasters to get the games underway. But first, a closer look at a friendship that has blossomed from the rivalry between these top-tier AD carries.
I'm really looking forward to facing Blue again because I feel like Deft played good, but not good enough for me to be like, wow, this is actually the idol I've had for the last year.
Deft trying to turn this one around. There is a tidal wave coming in. Cyanide down in the middle though. They managed to pick up the Fnatic take down Samsung Blue. Deft there is absolutely gutted. Mutual respect between him and Reckless, and honestly, out of the two, it's Reckless that's shown up today, and you can see for Deft exactly what that means.
우리나라 한국에서 푸나틱의 레클스 선수와 많이 비교라기보다는 레클스 선수가 유럽의 데프트다 그런 소리를 듣고 실력들은 다 데프트 선수를 밀어쳐주니까 자기도 그걸 증명하고 싶었을 거고.
I saw Deft crying after the game, and I literally love the guy. He's my idol, so I really respect him, and I went to him after the game and I gave him a hug and I said, shit happens, in the end, life continues, you will do better next time, and I think he was really grateful for it.
일단은 이번 경기에 패한 게 저희 팀한테는 엄청난 약이 됐다고 해야 되나? 아마 제 생각일지 모르지만 다음 푸나틱과의 경기에서는 압살하지 않을까 싶네요. 그리고 혁규는 더 이상 우는 일 없도록 해줄 테니까 나 믿고 따라와라.
Wow, some big words coming out of Samsung Blue there.
Out of nowhere, right? It's this mutual respect video. It's like, it will never happen.
Follow me, and it'll all be good. Hello, everyone. I'm Joe Miller, taking the desk with Joshua Jack Leesman and Sam Kobe Hartman Kensler. Guys, I'm not sure how we're really supposed to follow on from what we've just seen. Boom taking down Alliance, but we've got 3 very important games coming up.
Yeah, and a guaranteed tiebreaker based on the results of some of the next 3 games. But this one, it's Fnatic's last chance to try and make it out of groups.
Well, we just saw, a team with Ari with a whole bunch of picks, make this big upset. Last time Fnatic beat Blue was an upset with Ari and a bunch of picks.
Well, let's get to it, because I'm sure everyone's excited to see this match and have a look at the starting lineups for each squad. Take it to the Rift on the blue side from the European LCS. It is, of course, Fnatic, with Soaz in the top lane, Cyanide in the jungle, Xpeke in mid, Reckless the AD carry, and Yellow Star on support.
And on the red side is Samsung Blue. Acorn is up top. In the jungle, Spirit. Mid, Dade. AD carry, Deft, and support, Heart.
And I really can't wait for this rematch. It's actually Fnatic on the blue side this time. It's even harder to imagine that they were able to pick up the red side win when a lot of the pick and ban differences have shown a decent size advantage for the blue side teams, at least in this group. However, Blue didn't really use good use of their bans in that last game.
So yeah, Blue keeps banning Zillion, Alistar, and Maokai on really both sides, whether they're red or blue. So we'll see if they switch it up here, maybe target some of those pick champions, because that's been a deadly weapon so far today.
Where do we think the important areas to focus on? We were talking about Xpeke earlier on, the Ari that he played in that one, really stepping up his game. Do they look towards Peke and change some of those bans?
I feel like they're still going to go with the same ones that they've been using all tournament long.
I think for Fnatic, at least watching the games that Blue has won, which have been actually kind of close. Blue's game against LMQ was a bit of a nail-biter. Blue channels so much of their farm into Deft, and they sacrifice other people for it. Going into the day, as far as point in the game when people hit level 6, Acorn was last amongst top laners in the entire group. It's because he basically is a martyr so Deft can get more farm. And that's one of the big reasons he had dealt 50% of his team's damage coming into today, and one of the reasons he had such a big impact in the last match.
And one of the reasons, once again, Fnatic banning out Twitch, just like they did last time against Blue.
And the bans for Blue so far, Kobe, you are not wrong at this stage. Zillion, Alistair, we'll see if Maokai will be that third and final choice to come out. Actually, no. Going for Lucian there. On the other side, Fnatic took away Kha'Zix, Yasuo, and the Twitch that we already mentioned.
And we'd mentioned that Cyanide had struggled a little bit during the regular season playoffs on Lee Sin, but he really showed up on Lee Sin in their win against LMQ, so he definitely has some more confidence coming in here. I think it was a really nice ban change to get rid of Lucian, since they know Soaz isn't really one to pick Maokai readily.
Also, again, it's Fnatic focusing sort of on Spirit. You know, they ban the Kha'Zix and they first pick away Lee Sin, two of the strongest of those early game duelist junglers. We've seen Spirit on the Jarvan and on the Rengar. Not quite the same performances that he was on these other top two junglers.
Well, let's see what Samsung Blue go for here. Thresh and Timo been offered over right now, but you know, Yellow Star did play Thresh in the last encounter between these two teams. Heart settling for Nami in the end after that, and they may look to take this Thresh away. Where is Spirit going to go? The hover between Jarvan and Elise coming in. I think Elise will fit in better.
You know what's really cute, actually? When Fnatic was on the red side in this exact same matchup, the first two picks by Fnatic were Thresh and Elise. So they're actually just kind of taking the things that were so successful against them the last time, specifically to pick champions. And when we mentioned how Blue has so much of their damage dealt from Deft and they put so much farm into him, it actually creates a bit of a vulnerability to single target focus and stuns, which is what Fnatic used last time to win. Blue is trying to control those champions this time.
Not going to fall into the Cyanide trap here, hovering between Victor and Volibear. Down on that side, down by the V's in Champions League. Not going to go for that one just yet. So Fnatic, of course, have that Lee Sin, and completely agree with the fact that when we saw yesterday Lee Sin locked in, we were like, I'm not sure how successful that's going to be. He's not had a good season with Lee Sin. However, yesterday he came up big, had 19 assists and 11 KDA overall in that match against LMQ. Looks like it will be the bottom lane locked in here for Fnatic, then Janna and Tristana for Reckless.
And talking about, you know, focusing on those AD carries for late game team fights, looks like Fnatic are sort of switching shoes here with Blue and going with that Tristana. They will have that mid-game dip. They'll have to get him past. Pairing Tristana with Janna does definitely bring about a pretty strong duo lane though. So we'll see how they fare, because Deft, he's been switching between not Corki and Jinx, but Corki and Kog'Maw.
Yeah, I really wonder which one he's going to go for, too. I feel like with things that he's had success on, Corki would be the logical choice, since Fnatic's already going a little bit more to the late game with Trist, and because after Deft lost the last game to Fnatic, he destroyed on Corki, something like 14-1. It would make sense if they try and just destroy the mid game the instant they see the Trist pick.
Well, it looks like it. Hovering over Rumble would not hurt that mid game either. Several teams have used that strategy so far, but the last minute switch to Maokai, a little bit later, but still very strong for team fights.
And being a good pick for them as well, 5-0-9 in the one game. And you mentioned Deft there on Corki, 16-1-6 in that kind of beatdown after they lost to Fnatic in their next encounter. We'll see if he can continue that trend here. And you've got to be fearful of a play like Deft when he's already shown that kind of performance on that champion.
Well, again, it's shaping up here for Blue to be a two-threat team. It's going to be about Deft and Dade dealing the damage in that late game. A lot of weight on Deft's shoulders. As you said, he has a really, really big portion of the team's damage dealt. The average is 31% for AD carries.
Yeah.
But you mentioned he's over half.
Yeah, and at least Blue has a ton of area of effect damage here, just with Corki Maokai, almost irregardless of their mid lane pick. Fnatic's going to have to come up with a strategy in these last two picks. If they pick Zed, it's going to be very split push focused actually, and they're going to need to completely focus on disengage. That's what they do.
It's interesting because Rumble and Zed want to do fairly different things, but Zed is strong as well once he gets his first item. Whoa!
One thing I will say is that Rumble is pretty good when the enemy team tries to dive on you, at least at trying to punish them for it. I just don't know if Fnatic has enough auxiliary damage outside of him with Janna, Lee Sin, and a mid-game power dip and Trist they're going to be in a very dangerous position the instant they try and start split pushing with Zed, especially if Dade picks Talon for an even more potent dive.
Going to be interesting, this one as well. And building a similar composition to that win against LMQ that we were talking about before, where Def went 16-1-6. They had the Thresh support, Maokai top lane in that one as well. They had Yasuo in the mid lane, which of course is banned away this time by Fnatic. And the question is, where will Dade land? Talon seems to be the choice.
And this Fnatic team, okay, so it is going to be Talon to go into that Zed. We've had a lot of discussion about the Zed and Talon matchup. It hasn't shown to be quite as one-sided as we've heard. There are several things here. Talon, we've seen a lot of the successful Talons that are going against Zed use their ultimate very, very early in lane, shove it and get harassed on at the same time. But if you do that, then you leave yourself vulnerable to Zed. But as far as the whole team here from Fnatic, the Rumble seems a bit out of place. They have a lot of knockbacks and protective spells they can use, but nothing really to hold anyone down on that Rumble ultimate. So it's going to be up to Soaz to fit that in a very small corridor or somehow use these knockbacks and kicks to kick people onto it, because that's going to be very difficult.
I would have to just say it might just be because Soaz hasn't found success on his other champions. He's not going to pick Lulu again. And Rumble has found success against Maokai, so it's kind of just a pick for the matchup here, and they're hoping it works out in the overall context of the game.
And I think there's no doubt that Soaz is a huge part of this team as well. When he's playing well, Fnatic are generally doing well, but I have to say I've seen Soaz hanging around this morning, and he looks very, very nervous. Of course, Fnatic have to win this game, and even then, it's not even in their own hands.
And what a situation to be in, where in order to even have a chance of making it out of the group, they have to beat Samsung Blue twice in a row. It's a ridiculous situation they put themselves in.
Yeah, I mean, everybody here at Worlds has been through just a roller coaster of emotions, but especially this Fnatic team.
Well, as both teams prepare to face off, we want to know who you guys think will come out ahead in this one. Tweet at LOL Esports with the hashtag FNC win or SSB win, and we'll see who you think is the stronger team as we get into game. It's a big one, ladies and gentlemen. Fnatic versus Samsung Blue. All on the line here for Fnatic. Can they pull it off? We're going to find out.
I was actually a little giddy last night thinking about the games that we were going to get to see. This matchup, could Fnatic upset Samsung Blue again? The next matchup between Cloud9 and Najin White Shield, I wasn't even considering the fact that Kaboom would win a game today. Everything has delivered thus far. I want to see if these games do as well.
Yeah, group stages at this World have been so exciting. We thought we had seen the big upset in the last couple of groups.
They just keep
when
happening.
AHQ took down the #1 seed from China, Edward Gaming. But then Kaboom one-ups them. Let's see if Fnatic can actually repeat their upset against Blue.
And obviously, it's going to be very heavily about the AD carries. Both of these guys have bounced back after some pretty devastating losses. Yellowstar's caught way out of position. Hart with a beautiful flank.
He's miles away from everything. There is a flay coming in, but they're going to try and close him off before he gets to the tower. Exhaust used. He's going down. It's going to be Talon to get first blood. Meanwhile, Fnatic trying here on the top side to get into Acorn, but what a disastrous start, and it might not be over. Well, it will. Hart's all on his own there. He's not going to be able to take down Peke, but what a crazy start.
How in the world did Hart get into position there? I'm going to have to go back and check and give you guys an update, because it was a remarkable flank there. Yellowstar had no idea.
They did not cover every entrance here into their side of the jungle with the defensive warding. And Fnatic do give up that first blood. That is really going to swing
Watching
this
it again,
Talon Zed matchup.
Watching it again, Hart walked right in through the front door where everyone normally invades, and then just walked around the red buff in order to get the kill. There just wasn't that one defensive river ward you normally see from a team, and it ends up costing Fnatic.
Yeah, first one there. Early Bird does get the worm. Yellowstar now under attack again. Looks like it will be the lane swap call here from Blue.
This could be so dangerous. They're going to fight over that blue, but big damage coming in there from Def
shut
with
the
a
door.
phosphorus bomb. Cyanide actually going very deep from this one. Acorn in there. Cyanide having to flash away. Def has gone low. There's another phosphorus bomb coming in. Hart will get the summoner heal there from his AD carry, but he's going to go down, and it's Soaz that takes the kill. 2.5 minutes in, we're tied on kills at 1-1. Might not be over just yet. Def trying to recall there, but they're going to try and hold him down. Soaz, nice flash from Def, gets him away from the harpoon slow.
An inch away from being able to close that one in. And in a sense, Fnatic equalizes that early first blood by getting one back, but it really depends about the buff control and how they manage their experience at this point.
Yeah, you can see it was a very quick call for Fnatic to go invade this red buff because they knew that their bottom side was open to blue and Spirit would rush in to grab that red buff. Now he's coming around for the level 3 gank.
The biggest thing that I actually see in all this is for once, Deft wasn't farming his lane at level 1. He is at 0 CS, 3 minutes and 10 seconds into the game, and considering Blue completely relies upon him, the fact that Reckless was in the lane shoving and Deft was in the jungle invading will put Reckless in a potential edge.
Yeah, remember, this is a 2-threat team here for Blue. It's going to be a lot more onto Dade's shoulders, and he got that first blood. So it's going to be a lot about how can Dade snowball Talon. This is a very snowbally assassin. Starting out with first blood and the extra flask for his laning phase should do wonders for him. Also, you mentioned the area of effect already when they only had Maokai and Corki on this team. Talon, not only is he good at roaming and assassinating people, but even in the team fights, for an assassin, he does much more area of effect damage than you usually get from an assassin.
Just about to say there are pressure in there. You do see Deft onto the Fnatic tower, actually getting a key deep ward in there, which will spot Cyanide coming earlier on. We are also seeing Spirit moving down to that bottom lane, and they're gonna go here. Oh, with a flash cocoon doesn't land. It's Spirit that's tanking up the turret. They'll juggle that one off, but Spirit going crucially low from that one. Soaz just walking rings around them.
Soaz quite clever there, skilling up his shield second despite not having a point in Flame Splitter because he knew he might get dove there. The fact that he was also able to avoid the flash cocoon, which to be fair, Spirit should have landed, saves his skin.
Yeah, that was definitely a fumble there by Spirit. And again, back to the picks and bans where they ban Kha'Zix once again and they take away Lee Sin, forcing Spirit onto something else.
I'm back to the video where Spirit said, "Follow me, Deft, and we'll not have those problems
not into the turret
ever again." Well, didn't quite work out as intended there.
Don't make promises that you can't keep.
Well, he didn't die yet. He's not crying yet. Okay, we're getting a little ahead of here.
Let's have a look now while we're on the topic of Deft at the AD carries. 29, 30 CS to 15. There's Yellow Star yet.
Oh, patient Heart.
Get some wards down. Actually, we'll throw the Howling Gale. Heart just going to go through that. There is the hook coming down, but there's no one really there to give Heart the back over. There's the Lantern. They're going to try to pull in one man, but that won't be enough. Cyanide and Peke had already reacted to that one and tried to come around as well.
Please, nobody there to back up Heart on his solo play. All right, let's check in on those side lanes. So because Soaz didn't go down, he's been able to keep up an experience. But again, Corki doing a pretty good job trying to keep him off the minion wave. Up top as well, we mentioned Reckless did get to start in that lane, so he got those early minions and then came down for part of that kill. He's doing very well right now. He has the experience lead over Acorn.
Yeah, and he's also saving his skill points, actually. He's got 1 point in Q and 1 point in W, and 3 unspent points because he doesn't want to unnecessarily shove the wave. He was trying to freeze it for quite some time. When he decides to go aggressive, he'll have that huge jump in power.
They're playing this very defensively, too, because they don't have an extra ward, and Yellow Star still feeling fairly vulnerable because he's been roaming so much, sitting at that level 2. It always helps when you do have a ranged support as well to go along with a melee top laner. They can CS much more effectively.
Yeah, you can see he just jumped all 3 points into explosive shot there since he was trying to get into the turret. This map is still really wide open. I think experience-wise, Fnatic will have a bit of an edge, but experience-wise, Fnatic has an edge, CS-wise, Blue has an edge.
I mean, I think the biggest point is that this Tristana is having a very good start here for Fnatic. Meanwhile, once again, for Blue, it's going to be Dade. Can he start roaming around with his talent and making some plays because of that first blood? So far, it didn't really swing the CS in the mid lane towards Dade's favor. So far, so good for Fnatic's point of view. Deft down bottom, though, level 6 Corki, that's really hard to lane against. Whoever goes down there. So I was going to head back and have a hard time.
Yeah, only 13 CS up until now. Going to that Haunting Guys first of all, but you see that Deft brought that CS back to just a 10 difference and will continue to do well there as Reckless throwing everything at Acorn will knock him away from the tower. Fnatic might want to look to get a bit of damage on that.
On Dragon.
We can see, yeah, Dragon going. They've seen the recalls on that top side. There is a ward in Dragon. Seems to be enough to stop Blue from doing it.
Look at Heart still up top, though. Since he's babysitting Acorn, Blue don't actually have the numbers advantage, even though they've got the top laner with teleport. The duo lane up here for Blue, support and top laner, they cannot force that Dragon. So as almost to that level 6.2, that will be a huge, huge amount of control for Fnatic on the bottom side.
Yeah, the top lane having the teleport though versus Fnatic just having Reckless up there definitely opens up a big Dragon vulnerability. But now it's completely gone actually. Blue really just not using Dragon as a priority right now. It looks like they're content here with the laning game.
Reckless has to be careful here. Now, we haven't seen as much roaming from Heart as I would have expected. Staying up there for a very long time. And, you know, now that they have used that teleports, it's 2 people committed up to that top side. See what Fnatic can do with this. Maybe at least regain control of vision coverage on the bottom side of the map. Now Heart recalls.
Now going to see a bit of a swap around in lanes as well. Look at Reckless and Yellow Star. They're headed to the mid lane and Peke's gone up to the top lane. So just switching things around there a little bit.
I think they may have juked Fnatic here. Peke up top showing. Acorn actually goes back to defend. He doesn't have any armor yet, still with the fairly squishy Catalyst. Peke going to try and make use of that Zed split push really early on. This isn't even that first item we were talking about. This is just the first half of an item here. Cutlass completed.
Maybe Fnatic is thinking of a 1-3-1 split push as well if they want to try and get Trist going a little bit as well. However, they just don't seem to have the main team damage if that happens. I'm thinking they're kind of pushing Blue into a little bit of an uncomfortable situation here, specifically since Acorn was so under-farmed in a sense on a top laner. This game, it's more farmed than usual because he's at 50 CS, but with just the Catalyst, he can't do much.
Yeah, and because of the level discrepancy, you know, a level 8 Zed versus a 6 Maokai, that kill pressure is really, really threatening. 3 people committed up top, though. Blue decides to take that trade. They'll go for this Dragon. See how much Fnatic are going to get on that top side. Duo farming it now, and they don't shove it too quickly into the turret. Turret's pretty low, though. They should be able to answer.
Probably going to be a trade.
Yeah.
It depends, though, how quickly Blue decides to shove their own bottom lane and how much pressure they can put on Soaz. Otherwise, it will basically be a turret trade plus the Dragon for Samsung Blue. They do seem to have the superior amount of pressure because for some reason, Yellow Star is aiding Reckless when he doesn't really need to be.
And you said that Hearts almost surprised you in the way they...
Oh!
Soaz gonna find Spirit here. Gets that kill as well. And that was strange. Samsung
That
Blue,
was a lot of damage.
Yeah, I thought they got Soaz away from that area of the map just with Heart's presence. Cyanide was hanging around as well, and just in the 1 versus 1, is Daddy going to take the jump in? Going for Cyanide! That is a brilliant move from Blue.
Just striking directly back. 2-0 now for Dade. He had a pretty good game earlier on in the day on Cast, and it seems like he may be out of his group stage funk.
Now, they did catch Spirit in that red side jungle, but they still had vision, and so Dade makes the move, uses his ultimate, though. As we said, Talon without ultimate, very vulnerable to Zed.
Not a problem when Zed isn't around. Catching out Cyanide there in that jungle area. Peke got the edge here over Dade because of that free time he had in the top lane. Sat at 90 to 83 experience. Meanwhile, Deft will be able to finish off the first tower of the game here for Samsung Blue. Just making sure that those minions go down and the wave goes through. I believe he did group them, actually. Pulled them off and went into the brush, so see if that holds at that midway point. A Spirit here going to get knocked up. Cyanide actually hop into the ward, but the Q misses. Peke is going to be coming around the side, though. But look at the closing. Samsung Blue want to go at this. There is a Death Mark coming onto Spirit. Peke using that pretty much defensively, but gets knocked back. Howling Gale comes in. Dade will dive in. He will actually end up going down for the hook onto Yellow Star.
So I ultimate coming up.
Can they actually pull this one off? Spirit going to try and do their equalizer, and that will stop the chase.
Woo, that Rumble ulti just came off cooldown. Here comes Reckless and Deft joining at the same time, so nobody else should fight.
Yeah, you can definitely see Fnatic running away a little bit on that one. A pretty great escape attempt by Peke. and a nice kill going to Acorn as well. Him being tanky will be incredibly potent if Blue needs to turret dive later in the game.
Can they hold this tower though? Problem with Deft in there, who's already Phage and Sheen gonna be taking chunks out of Fnatic with those ultimate rockets. In the end though, Fnatic do send Reckless back and they're able to clear out those waves. But if you look at the overall story in this one, 1,000 gold is what separates the two teams. Tied up doing kills, tied up in turrets as well. Just the Dragon separating them.
All right, so you mentioned Acorn starting to get fairly strong. He does have a completed Rod of Ages now and a lane pushed up all the way in his territory to farm up. Yeah. Meanwhile, they've also got Dade with a split pushing Hydra completed now on Talon, so he can annihilate waves very quickly. Soaz here takes Deft down to half and they catch Heart.
In all kinds of trouble. There are 3 men on top of him. Should be enough control, and it's Reckless that gets it. There's the reset to jump back to that mid lane, but Deft had already ran away. That's a catch for Fnatic.
These are the dangers of overextending when you have your top laner up on the top side by himself. We talked about that large wave for Acorn up there. Blue, the 4-man team, makes an aggressive move on the other side of the map where they're outnumbered. Heart gets picked inside the Fnatic jungle.
And I think another thing we have to talk about is just nerves. We saw in the Blue game versus LMQ, there were a few uncharacteristic mistakes by both sides. Ackerman had that weird rumble ult. Blue was making some strange decisions, and I think we're seeing that here as well. Heart trying to overward where he really didn't have the backup ward coverage or the backup as far as his teammates are concerned, and it opens a vulnerability in Blue's shell.
Fnatic here as well with the Zed Janna combo. Those shields add a lot to his burst potential. And it's very easy for him to dive very, very deep and come out back to Janna for protection. You can see that the ward coverage that they've set up as well, Fnatic do not want to give up the second dragon. They're trying to fight back here. Gets a preliminary ring of wards around that dragon pit to see where Blue's next layer are placed.
Well, they've done well on their side of that Dragon Pit. Managed to clear things out. Obviously, they'd seen that Heart was headed over there before. Wanted to make sure that they have full control.
Failed shadow doesn't matter.
and moving down truly now onto the outside. In fact, Cyanide may just move in if they go towards the equalizer. Was a misclick. Surely that was a misclick.
What is it about equalizers against this Samsung Blue team? Another big whip. I think he was expecting the ultimate to knock him back in a different direction or something, but it was still a big miss there by Soaz.
Okay, so to be fair, Rumble Ultimate is one of the hardest skills to aim in the game, but really these are professional players who have played Rumble many, many times, and we have seen uncharacteristic Rumble Ultimates today. Talk about those nerves. Those cannot be overstated. The nerves up on the last day of group stages, all of these teams feeling tremendous pressure.
None more so than Fnatic. I mean, they have to win here against what everyone had pitted as the team from Group C. Fnatic already beat them though, so, you know, I'm sure that gave them that extra little boost of confidence that they needed coming into today's much-win match, but currently they are behind by 1,200, 300 gold.
Yeah, I mean, both of these teams so emotionally invested in this. We've seen both of these teams have players tiers up there on the stage.
And then come back huge in the next game as well. I mean, this Dragon fight is going to be absolutely insane. They know that Soaz's equalizer is down for a short time, so if they rush it now, they can force Fnatic, I feel like, completely away.
Yeah, he has a teleport, but you don't want to use that unnecessarily. Right now, he's heading up top. Fnatic might just give this one away. Soaz has only 15 seconds left on this ult.
You can make it pretty quick, but Samsung Blue does count ultimate cooldowns very well as a team. They're just going now, even without Heart there, since they know Heart backed on a pink ward, the threat of all of them being there is real. Plus, they can now counter the potential invade a little bit with some vision.
What's the move from Fnatic? They are pushing that top wave out. They've got Reckless and Cyanide on that top side of the map, but the flash into the hook onto Cyanide. There is a twisted advance. The box is down, and Cyanide picked up by a rocket there from Deft as he comes up to join the party. And now Samsung Blue with a man advantage might look to push this mid wave down. There's a TP actually coming into bottom to save it.
The overall map play by Samsung Blue right there was just extraordinary, using the pink ward to fake the recall of Heart, having Heart go to the collapse point, and then still having Acorn's teleport to guard the bottom lane split push. They did everything right there.
They not only got the dragon and saved the huge wave bottom, but they also picked Cyanide for the red steal there. What a play from Samsung Blue. They controlled literally the whole map at the same time.
Bringing Dade there back behind the tower with the lantern. Will allow them to clear things out before Fnatic could actually get on top of it and do the damage. Just want to touch on the top laners at this point and where they're at, because 124 to just 67 CS in favor of Acorn. Those 3 kills, though, helping out SOAS, no doubt about that.
Even with the 3 kills, though, Joe, he's still down about 1,000 gold to Acorn. And we can use this to talk about what's gone right for Samsung Blue and what's gone right for Fnatic. At the moment, Acorn is way more farmed, way more leveled than he's pretty much been this entire group stage, and that's great in the sense that they need a strong tank to be able to dive when they have those pressure points. For Fnatic, though, Reckless is actually bypassing that mid-game power point relatively well. It's just the farm is not necessarily on the right people for Fnatic. They would rather have Zed be 3-0 because he's the guy who's going to have to split push. A farm Rumble generally wants to team fight, which, as we said, Rumble not really fitting with Fnatic's team composition. Team fighting's not what they want to do against a fed Maokai.
Plus, if Peke does go and split push, the mobility boots have been completed on Talon, so if Zed is split pushing against one person already, if that's Acorn, Acorn can set up that gank really easily. One Twisted Advance and a Moby boots Talon coming in, that would be a dead split pusher. So he's got to be very, very careful with this. Fnatic have to ward extensively if they want to pull that off.
Well, they're going to try and do that, certainly with double Spirit Stones down. The same on the other side. Sight Stone, sorry. And Deft, ooh, you coming out from Cyanide as they're just fighting over that vision control in the side brush on River. But Deft using a quick Valkyrie just to get over the top of the wall, make sure that it doesn't take too much damage from it. And I have to say, so far, Heart being a real highlight for me in this Samsung Blue team. Always there, seemingly, to either bring people into fights or take them out.
And this would be the point in the game where Heart needs to bring people into fights. Deft just finishes Trinity Force. Dade's got his
Shadow used.
Brutalizer. It's all about finding fights.
Deathmark going down, but is it going to be enough? Dade is going to be... Oh!
Whoa!
Peke! Oh, the Ignite! Not enough to finish off either. The burst, just enough to get Peke the kill and survive.
What a pure outplay from Peke. We have to see that one again in slow-mo. He already had used his shadow, and Talon got the silence off on him, yet he still won the fight. Amazing.
Just because he was able to flash away at the last second and avoid Dade's auto attack. Still doesn't tick out, but let's see how Fnatic can hold off this dive if Acorn
SOAS does have
for it.
teleports, so if they dove under the turret, he could join the team. But they're spread out very thin here.
Peke going to be taking that bottom turret after that 1 versus 1 victory over Dade. And just showing that Peke, you know, despite being around for so long, still has the moves when it really comes down to it. Samsung Blue, though, here looking to come in from behind.
They're flanking pretty well. Cyanide's in trouble once again. Should be enough.
Moby boots Talon!
There we go, Dade. Where's he going to go to? Cyanide actually will queue over onto the red buff, and that gets him out of range of danger. SOAS has come down as well. There's the knockup, but Acorn's not really the target that they're going to be able to take down quick enough, but they will be trying to steal this red buff away. That goes to Deft.
In the jungle, SOAS could actually get a good equalizer here too. Talked about how hard it's going to be for him to land those good equalizers against this team. In those small jungle corridors would be the best opportunity for him. But Blue are able to steal that red and get out. Man, was Cyanide lucky Blue was up. Or red was up.
Yeah, we'll get to see this 1v1 again. So the shadow goes down, immediately Dade sees him.
I think he canceled his auto attack there too.
Using
great ulti from Peke.
While Dade was in his own ultimate to avoid the second part of the damage. And then this flash, plus he landed his spell right as his Deathmark procced. Could not have timed it any differently and still survived.
Amazing 1 versus 1 play there out of Peke.
Dead now though.
But he is dead now.
Yeah. In the context of the replay.
He survived. Oh, there's Acorn, but where's your damage? Lee Sin and Janet going to take down this Maokai with the Glacial Shroud with the Rod of Ages. And look at the move from Deft here. He's coming in towards that top side. Reckless is actually there as well. So the 3-on-2, I think Fnatic will back away from.
That Janet move speed doing wonders for them to retreat here. But Blue are not giving up on this siege. They're keeping several members here, and they're looking to extend this vision coverage. They've got very deep coverage on Blue side.
You can just see with the mobility boots talent and the general ward coverage that Blue have acquired, their map control is just really great right now. Even when Fnatic tries to collapse on Acorn, they were still not able to, and Rumble Ult's being burdened just to try and save turrets. That opens up a free dragon for Blue.
Yeah, it just spawned now. There's no way that Fnatic can actually fight that. So they have to think now, we're giving up this dragon, we gotta trade something for it. They send 2 members top for a little bit of extra pressure, but Acorn is so tanky now. You can't dive him, and he does have a lot of AoE. He can clear at the tower. So another uncontested dragon for Blue that will really be unanswered by Fnatic, and they have to worry about the repercussions of 2 people top showing.
It's just
Heart
more row.
again.
Oh, Reckless. Oh, will knock him actually against the wall and not away as he would have liked. Twister Advance comes in. Phosphorus Bomb comes down. He was focusing hard, but not enough damage there from Reckless. You can see on his camera, bottom left, not happy about being caught that far up the lane.
I mean, it was also just a spectacular flash by Hart. The only thing that saved Reckless there is if he's able to ult him away. But Hart saw the play coming, was able to bring in the backup, and it puts Deft in a pretty strong place of mid-game power. Reckless was just trying to farm just that little bit so he can get his Infinity Edge, but it ends up costing him his life.
And again, even though Blue commit 3 people top, there's no pressure from Fnatic. They can't get anything back off of this. Peke split push is stunted right here. Dade comes over in time, cleans it up. Another pretty big lead here for Blue.
The map control, just controlling each and every lane. Right now is the moment Fnatic can't safely farm their lanes, which is why the gold lead is ballooning so much for Blue.
Look at the wards as well on the top side of Blue's map. Have complete vision control there. Bottom side's a little bit of a different story. That's mostly because Yellow Star is down there right now getting that vision in place.
And think about it, they already took Dragon, so Blue don't really have to waste time and money warding on that side of the map anymore. They've got so much control on the top side. Really, they're going to get the last mid turret here is the point of contest.
I feel like I've seen this before. Rumble using his equalizer again to try and save that mid turret.
Whoa.
That's just making it so much that Fnatic can never even think about counter team fighting if they're using that Rumble ultimate to clear waves, but they're just trying to get that Tristana to turn on, and it's just taking forever.
And in that time, Def just going from tower to tower, picking up those objectives, getting this red buff now as well. It's a 5,000 gold lead for Samsung Blue. Still fairly close here in the kills, and if you look, Soaz, of course, the one that picked up most of those for Fnatic, got his Leandris now in there, got himself a needlessly large rod as well, so will be doing decent amounts of damage. The question from that is, what can Fnatic use that for? When the fact is, they probably don't want to go head-to-head with Samsung Blue.
Yeah, exactly. It's fairly easy for Dade to juke it. It's fairly easy for Def to juke the ultimate, and Acorn's going to be alive this entire team fight. So it looks very, very dire here for Fnatic.
And you can see Blue is just kind of turning it on. They only have lost that one game to Fnatic this entire group stage. They had a slightly shaky early game against LMQ, and they're just trying to bring it together. You know, they were not wanting to lose a single game in the group stage here, but this game, their map control, their itemization builds have been really on point, and they're definitely executing on this strong roaming mid game that they're going to have. Blade the Rune King now finished on 2, Deft, Acorn with the Frozen Heart. The pressure's not going to relent from Samsung Blue.
Megatron Cloak as well for Acorn, so going with a bit of magic resist, which means Soaz going to be a lot more, or a lot less effective in theory. Okay, also added a pickaxe now on top of that Ghost Blade and the Blade of the Ruin King, but honestly, he's not been able to push too far up the map at any real time. Yeah, he managed to get that bottom outer turret after he won that 1 versus 1 against Dade, but it's behind at this point, and the pressure that Samsung Blue are putting on them means that Peke just can't get into a position to do anything on the split push.
Yeah, Blue are splitting here because the wave clear is still very limited for Fnatic. They've got Zed. Oh!
Going in towards that. Is he going to go down? Certainly looks that way. It will be the death mark from Peke to finish off. Took 2 of them. Will Samsung Blue try and push that pressure back in mid? Doesn't actually look like it.
I feel like that's how most of those split push battles are going to go between Dade and Peke. Only when someone brings back up are we going to see a real big fight, because they're too explosive for each other to really want to actually commit on. I think the person who commits can get counterplayed a little bit by the opponent, whether it's Dade going into stealth on the Deathmark or Peke using the Deathmark while Dade goes into stealth. They kind of need a friend to pull off the right 1v1. That was just a nice collapse by Fnatic.
Yeah, Prawley on desk was saying it's pretty much whoever of these two assassins uses their ult first is kind of going to be at a disadvantage in that. And we did see that in the first matchup between those two guys.
Yeah.
Dade used his ult first and ended up going down.
Battle of nerves, almost.
Yeah.
To say, okay, who can hold out the longest? Take advantage of the opponent going a little bit too deep early on. Right now, though, Peke has been joined by Reckless and Silent. Look at this, they're going for the inner tower, but Blue say, you take that, we're having a Baron.
And they'll be able to get back and defend this inhibitor.
So
oh, no, they won't. It's going down
Fnatic
pretty
has
slow.
done this type of play before where they try and trade inhibitor turrets for the Baron. They did it in their game against OMG. Let's see how long Soaz can interrupt these recalls. He does have Equalizer, and he does not want to get caught.
Gotta worry about the hook, though. Fnatic pressing in.
Yeah, going on to Acorn here. That's not really going to do much damage soon, but it's all about the tower. They kill off Rumble. Can they get the in? If they do, Fnatic trade Baron for the inhibitor in that bottom lane.
Can they chase here, though? It looks like the three-man squad all need to heal up. So Fnatic do get away with the trade at the cost of Soaz's life. So that's really the best of a bad situation. There's no way they could have stopped that Baron, and it was a good exchange considering how far they were down.
And Fnatic can't teamfight Samsung Blue. They need Reckless to be ridiculously strong. If they can sneak this Dragon as well, the gold will be
that's worth
normal. And at this point, it's going to be all about what Samsung Blue can do while the Baron buff is on them. If it falls off without them taking a couple of turrets or a big-time one-team fight, Fnatic made a great trade there.
Now they need to get really far back inside the base, though. Everybody has to get back and heal and defend the second line of turrets. If they can defend that second line, then they'll be okay. All right, so Soaz, as he said, he's trying to delay these backs. He does get very close, and he does a decent amount of damage to delay them long enough for that inhibitor to go down. He got everybody so low. You can see the effect
one
of
other
Rumble.
person with him, they could have got a triple kill at that point. But obviously, Fnatic had sights on the inhibitor.
And that's why everyone talks about the team fighting of Rumble. The only reason everybody did stand on it there, though, is because they knew nobody else was going to be there. So like, okay, whatever, he'll get us all low, but nobody's going down.
Once again, looking for Peke. Actually lands the hook straight through the wall. I'm not sure about following through, but Dade will join in, and Peke goes down the death mark. Not going to really dent Heart. And now they've got full pressure inside the red side of Fnatic's jungle with minion waves coming towards that inner bottom turret.
Heart is just a spectacular playmaker right here, and that's kind of exactly what Fnatic did not want to happen. Luckily, though, it happened in the lane where super minions were aiding Fnatic, so it will take probably the entire death timer of Peke to set up a proper push for Blue.
Definitely validating the first round pick here for Thresh. Once again, both teams really highly prioritizing that champion, and as we've heard so many times, all of these world level top support players have been changing games with this champion.
Yep. Especially in these last two groups. I mean,
look at that. It's even blind.
He saw him go around the corner. He's like, I guess he'll be there.
That's just great prediction.
With the lantern, too.
And Peke uses Shadow still as the ride from the death sentence was in motion from Heart, so he got to go with them, traveling the distance of the Shadow Dash as well.
That was like beyond max range of both the death sentence follow and the lantern, but because the timing was just right, the chains of both of the spells hadn't broken.
And because Dade had that extra out-of-combat speed, he was able to get to the lantern just in time.
Things.
That was ridiculous.
Went perfectly right for Blue for the one kill, except they weren't able to even get objectives after the fact.
No, and you know, I even said the minions are coming their way, the way that Dade was actually so far stood up the lane there. And then, of course, you realize that Fnatic have already taken down that bottom inhibitor, and that the super minions had pushed quite far back in that lane as they continue to do, once again, reaching that halfway point. And Fnatic, I think, have said, look, guys, we can't afford to lose control of our jungle, and to get that back, we're going to have to go as a full 5-man team, clear everything out there, and in the meantime, Samsung Blue are just getting the top side all to themselves.
Yeah, Blue kind of still have to split up a bit here. It's very hard for them to dive against a Janna, especially since after the Janna can reset the fight, then Soaz can lay down his ultimate if there's any sort of re-engage. So it's really dangerous here for Blue to try and crack in through these second line of turrets.
If somehow Blue can find that organized team fight, though, with Acorn in the front line zoning out Reckless. Even though Reckless has his last Whisper, there is 272 armor plus the auto attack damage reduction of the Ninja Tabi on Acorn's Maokai. He is an absolute brick right now, and it will take so long to take him down.
Samsung Blue now moving in towards the inner turret in the top lane thanks to Deft, who had gone back to push that wave up completely. Dade waiting off to the side. Soaz had also decided to come in from the jungle angle to defend that tower, but it's already down to half with that single wave going through.
There's a lot of pressure on Yellow Star's shoulders right now to pull off this defense. The entire team of Fnatic have to watch out constantly for the Thresh Hook and the Elise Cocoons. If somebody's out of position, a lot of burst damage from Blue.
So hard to defend.
Oh, there's two.
Give it up.
Well, coming on to Soaz, Cyanide will have to back off somewhat. Deft not scared here of tanking up the turret, getting those shields his way. And, well, in the end, I think without that Janus shield, would have probably just stuck around to get the tower.
Mid-game double buff Corki is such a beast here. That blue buff, he can continue to spam rockets during the siege. He opens up windows for both the Cocoon and the Death Sentence to get through. And then he gets Sheen. Or no, yeah, Trinity Force empowered auto attacks off on the turret.
Yeah,
there goes.
Dade there drawing two men away.
There goes
That's
Peke.
Equalizer coming down. Who are they going to go for? Cyanide was trying to get in. Acorn actually dived pretty deep. Soaz here caught all on his own on the backside. He will be the focus for now. Monsoon comes in. There will be the Zonyas, but Soaz will go down. That's a 2-for-1 for now.
And Peke fell on the other side trying to take down Dade. Reckless had no flash from the previous hook that he had to dodge. Big fight for Blue there. It was pretty organized for them. Acorn did not take much damage.
Yep, that's going to be this Nexus turret, or inhibitor turret going down here. I think that Fnatic engaged that fight because they thought Peke was coming around for the flank, but Peke got cut off by Dade, forced into that 1v1.
And that inhibitor is going to fall here. Nothing that they can do to stop that one happening. Samsung Blue bursting through the base. Now have a 7,000 gold lead, 10-7 up. Look at the Baron timer as well, less than a minute until that comes into play. And Samsung Blue have been on the offensive for quite a while here and should have a good amount of cash to go home and actually spend to come back just in time for the Baron.
Yeah, I really want to see that interception of Dade. So Peke actually turns back around, and Peke is the one that goes for it. He ults first.
Wow. So that's the thing about Dade's build right now. He has an Infinity Edge with the Ghost Blade. So if he turns to fight, he gets a crit on one of his abilities, it just devastates Peke in that 1v1.
Waiting for his dragon.
Now he's got a QSS, so I think he wins that duel from here on out.
QSS. Oh, Dade, here is a dragon, or at least the start of a dragon. And the rest of Samsung Blue, though, I feel are a little too slow to react and will take too long to get there. That will go over to Fnatic.
And I really
still holding on with a couple of dragon pickups.
Yeah, I think that Peke switching his targets there and going for Dade instead of joining the team is going to come back to haunt Fnatic. As you said, now Quicksilver Sash picked up. That is a huge game changer for the split push matchup. Baron control for Vision right now is in Fnatic's control, but it's so easy for Blue to take that over. They're the ones with the team fight.
Last time, Fnatic was in position to trade an inhibitor. This time, they don't have the wave management, and Blue can take the Baron, honestly, quite quickly. So Fnatic is in a really difficult situation. If they get caught out here, it is basically the game.
Getting hit by the Q off Cyanide. They pushed that middle wave, or just pushing that middle wave on through. Fnatic trying to hold it as far up the lane as they possibly can. And these saplings keeping Peke at bay, and
Baron's going down so fast.
Samsung Blue, you know, they sent Acorn to the front to just be an annoyance, basically. Meanwhile, three of the other players just moving into the Baron pit will start it off. Scrying up views, but they're too far away. It's another Baron for Samsung Blue.
You know a team is pulled far ahead when they can just take Baron straight up without trading a single objective or even really much farm to the enemy team. If Fnatic loses this one as well, they are eliminated from the World Championship, so they have to win.
Yeah.
Didn't quite end as they expected, though, did it? We are going to see Blue pushing in. Just notice, by the way, that Acorn now has a Thorn Mail, so, well, what are you going to do? What are you going to do against him? Not a lot.
Well, 337 armor to go with that Thorn Mail. And the interesting thing about Thornmail is it returns the pre-mitigation damage, so Reckless will be doing a whole bunch of damage in just trying to kill Acorn.
Trying and hitting a brick wall though, I think. Of course, Acorn then will be able to also go under these towers without any problems whatsoever with that amount of armor. Let's see though how they crack these last two lanes. Dade already pushing up bottom, will actually be helped by his teammate who just zoned Fnatic completely away from that. Not I think that Fnatic would have come out of the base to try and defend that last inner turret, but now it's going to be Blue knocking on the door of Fnatic's base with that top lane pushing through his super minions.
Yep. Samsung Blue slowly closing the noose here. It's going to have to be Fnatic catching out Deft with some miraculous play here, bursting him down.
And this is what I like so much about Blue's team comp, picking away Thresh and the Elise. Where are the spells to actually catch Deft? Cyanide would have to try and kick him backwards, but he could just get flashed in the process.
No chance there. Fnatic, in fact, decide we just have to leave this one. Second inhibitor is going to go down for Samsung Blue. They can just go straight to the third one. As I mentioned before, Acorn can tank those turrets all day long. Actually, they're going to go to top because the inhibitor just respawning there, giving Fnatic a brief respite, but it looks like Samsung Blue could be picking up the victory, which would put Fnatic out of the World Championship.
What a roller coaster it has been for Fnatic. So many close games for them. Ups and downs. Being the first to upset Blue, the only team to take a game off of them.
And honestly, even though Blue, if they win this game, ends up 5-1 in the group, quite a journey for them as well. They had that really close game against LMQ. Fnatic dealt them a shocking defeat. They're going to be much stronger going into the bracket stage, having this group stage experience behind them.
Look at the damage coming through. Samsung Blue not scared whatsoever. Taking a couple of turret hits with that Baron buff still on them. There is Acorn, a big tree, tanking up the turret all day long. No problem whatsoever. It's basically Yellow Star that's keeping that turret alive for so long. Getting those shields in. Reckless, let's be careful about stepping forward because I feel that Dade will jump him. But Acorn, well, he's not scared of anyone at this point.
Yep. Acorn able to tank turrets, the constant barrage of missiles with, again, Blue buff Corki here. One last inhibitor turret to go for Blue.
And if they just
Oh, there's the hook coming in. Cyanide gonna be an easy target. Surely, actually, he will go out trying to get the kickoff. And I tell you what, not doing bad there, but Dade will finish him off. Acorn at the back is tanking up 3 men. They kill him off, but also nearly dying all of them themselves. Couple of low men still here for Samsung Blue, but it's 4 versus 4.
Yeah, they have to take advantage of this window here. I mean, trading Cyanide for Acorn is a huge, good trade, but everybody got chunked in the process, and there are 2 lines of super
so hard.
minions into the
Reckless
base.
needs to be in 3 places at once right now, but he is in the mid lane right now. He's going to have to peel back almost immediately.
Turret's under fire.
Base are going down at this point. We can see that inhibitor turret is still alive, but what's it going to cost them? The base is just falling from Fnatic. They're still trying to hold on to it. Peke and Soaz both got hardly any health remaining finally. Soaz does go back there to diving from Dade. Are they going to finish the Reckless? They do. He's definitely gets that one. He's not done just yet. He wants to kill Yellow Star. Get
the big one!
The big bomb comes through. That will kill Yellow Star. And Def still alive. They even turn around for another fight. Deathmark comes down, but he's dead. That will pop. Will he get the kill? No. And the hook afterwards from Hart. But Peke gets him. Whoa. And they kill each other.
There's just Cyanide alive though for Fnatic and 2 members of Samsung Blue.
Acorn teleports in.
Acorn with the TP back in. They've got Spirit. They've got loads of super minions with them as well to help things off. And that's going to be the Nexus turrets going down. The Nexus itself will be focused here by Samsung Blue. They will be, of course, going through to the quarterfinals. But for Fnatic, the world's dream is over.
It's a tough loss for Fnatic, but also a redemption win for Samsung Blue. Dade, having not making it out of the group stage in the 2013 World Championship, goes 5-1 in the groups with his new team. Deft as well goes 6-1 in the victory, and they end Fnatic's World Championship hopes.
And a heartbreaking, and what a way to go out for Fnatic as well. Having to beat Samsung Blue was one thing, but being knocked out in the group stages after beating the top seed out of Korea in the group. The only team to have done it so far is just a cruel way for Fnatic here.
And now we have this team right here, Samsung Blue, on a collision course with their sister team.
Yeah.
Poised to meet up.
With the way the brackets will fall in the quarterfinals, if Blue and White both win their quarterfinal matchups, they would meet in the semifinals. But that's not quite the story here today. It's about all the opportunity here and the end of certain teams' journeys.
Not for Samsung Blue, though. They're going to be going through. Fnatic, Season 1 champions, still with 2 men from that original roster. Not going to have a chance to go that far this year. And as I said, Group of Death is always going to be hard. When we saw that group come out, everyone was like, wow, who's going to come out of this one? People looked at Samsung Blue and said they are the big favorites in it. Up until, I'd say yesterday, after Fnatic beat them, there was some question marks, and it's not been 100% smooth sailing for Samsung Blue in their other games either.
It hasn't been 100% smooth sailing for anybody except maybe Samsung White over in the other groups.
Yeah. Since we got to Singapore, it's been rough waters right here. Honestly, though, just this means that the Group of Death here will come down to the second seed being the winner of the OMG LMQ game, which we have at the end of the day. That's going to be pretty crazy. Blue, of course, moves on as the #1 seed.
Absolutely incredible stuff here. And, of course, the teams from those other groups that played last week in Taiwan will have been watching, albeit for a little bit later on in the tournament, since the A and B groups do cross over, and C and D will do exactly the same once we do get to Busan. But I think job done for Samsung Blue. They wanted to come in for, and have a perfect record, but in the Group of Death, I think they can actually be fairly happy with the fact that they only lost the 1 game.
There were some really close games today as well. That LMQ game, I'm still wondering what would have happened if Ackerman's Rumble Ultimate was, a screen off in the other direction.
Yeah, so many what ifs.
There's so many what ifs because Blue made a bunch of mistakes in that game as well. They've really just been trying to clean up and make their play much crisper because they need to make it crisper for their eventual goal of winning the World Championship.
Well, I mean, for Blue, they weren't even secure coming into today either. So, they had 2 games against LMQ, against Fnatic. The LMQ game had its rough moments. They'd already lost to Fnatic. So I'm sure that from Blue's standpoint, they were not feeling 100% coming into today. We heard that they'd done a lot of training last night, though, to actually come through and have a good day today. Works out for them. They go 2-0. Fnatic, as we said, will be going home. We do, however, have Shocks for a post-game chat with one of the victors.
Thank you very much, Joe. I'm joined here by Spirit after that victory over Fnatic. You did say in the pregame video you were going to dominate them. They put up a good fight, but how did you end up beating them?
그 사전 인터뷰 때 푸나틱 상대로 압도적으로 이길 거라고 이제 말하셨는데 좀 경기가 어땠나요?
일단 경기 자체가 그렇게 사전 인터뷰처럼 압도적이진 않았고요. 근데 저희 팀원이 모두 잘해줘가지고 이렇게 이길 수 있었던 것 같네요.
The game was very hard. It wasn't as dominating as I thought, as I said in the pre-game interview. But my teammates played very well, so I think we were able to win because of them.
You also said you swore to protect Deft. Do you think you did a good job here in this game?
그 데프트 선수를 무조건 지켜주겠다고 말씀하셨었는데 어떻게 그 목표를 달성하신 것 같나요?
일단 이 경기에서 제가 데프트를 지켜줬다기보다는 혁규가 데프트가 저를 지켜준 것 같아요. 그 약속을 제가 못 지켰는데 8강전부터 이제 제가 데프트를 지킬 수 있도록 그 약속 지키도록 하겠습니다.
I think for this game, Deft actually protected me more. So I wasn't able to keep my promise, but hopefully from quarterfinals I'll be able to protect him more. Yeah.
Tell me about those quarterfinals, knowing that you guys had some really hard games here in the group stage. How do you reflect on that?
이번 조별 예선 때 되게 힘든 경기가 많았었는데 조별 예선에 대해서 좀 다시 한번 되짚어 주세요.
일단 C조에서 정말 많은 게임들이 있었는데 저희 팀이 확정되기 전까지도 정말 확정되는 날까지도 그렇게 간절히는 이런 점이 없었는데 일단 모든 팀들이 정말 대단한 팀인 것 같아요. 저희 팀도 저희 팀 나름대로 엄청나게 잘하지만 다른 팀도 다른 팀 나름대로 진짜 대단한 팀들인 것 같아요. 긴장해서 말이 잘 안 되는데 제 생각에 아마 이번 롤드컵 C조가 가장 정신없었던 그리고 예측하기 힘들었던 조가 아닌가 싶어요.
Okay, I think Group C, our group, was the hardest group to predict which teams would get out. Each team, they performed very well. They were all really good teams, including our team. So, yeah, I think until the match, we decided that we would get first place. Each game was very hard, and it was a very hard group to get out of.
Absolutely was. You guys did amazing. Congratulations. Thank you very much. And as for us, we're going to break down that game further over at the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, Shocks. And of course, just want to reiterate, with that loss, Fnatic's run at the 2014 World Championship is now over. Samsung Blue go 5-1 in the groups, and it looked a little close at the beginning. I feel like Samsung Blue is just one step ahead of Fnatic. Let's talk about some of the picks and bans and some of the strategy that they used to take down Fnatic. Despite Soa's getting some kills, he really struggled on that Rumble.
So the one thing I really like was the fact that Samsung Blue banned away the Lucian away from Reckless. The only weakness we've really ever seen from Samsung Blue is getting snowballed on early game. They removed the big snowbally AD carry. We saw Peke make good moves. We saw Soaz start 3-0. We saw Cyanide make good ganks. But Reckless is stuck farming in the bottom lane. And he's still opted to pick Tristana second round. I would like to see him find more champions, like maybe bring out Caitlyn, even though she's not that common, because strategically you're going to beat this team by pushing things down in 25 minutes, and that's where I would have liked to see Fnatic go.
I'm glad you mentioned the Reckless point. Reckless did not win a game when he did not play Lucian. The only wins Fnatic have is when he's on that single champion. We saw him struggle on the Tristana in other matches. Samsung Blue did some good early game shenanigans. Let's pull up the first replay that I think Krepo was quite excited about. And Krepo, you can talk us through this.
Yeah, so first of all, Yellow Star gets caught here, so we could run the clip already, and I'll talk over everything else I want to do. So he tries to sweep that ward, and then eventually he'll get caught going back into the jungle, I believe. Hard double checks with his sweeper that is there, and then they kind of get surprised that Yellow Star finds himself all the way in the jungle. He completely loops around. And yeah, this is just not good play. You need to respect the entrances to your jungle. Yellow Star completely doesn't expect him to be here. I think if he went left and flashed over the wall anyways, he would have lived. So this is just you're not used to that. You know, you play your scrims all the time and then you just get caught out.
Yeah, not only that, but this is what happens when you, let's pause this real quick. This is what happens when you have sometimes, when you take that early sweeper, you actually sometimes can't ward all your entrances. And so you leave yourself vulnerable to those kind of plays.
So yeah, we can roll the clip again. This is actually the main point I wanted to say is Fnatic, basically, they react really well, and on the top side, they catch out Acorn. So both teams actually don't play safe enough, you know, not enough respect for the possibilities of being caught. Reckless blows a jump early here and he's killing W, but that'll come in handy when Samsung actually decides to 3v1 invade and tries to rebuff Fnatic, and they bite off a little more than you can chew. Just look at what Reckless does here. This is so unexpected for an AD carry to come down after freezing so quickly, and then he'll just go full man mode and jump on 3 people as an AD carry, and I really like that play because this basically gets Fnatic back into the game. If this invade works well for Blue, Fnatic gets 3-buffed and they completely lose out, and yeah, Cyanide makes it out by the skin of his teeth. Def goes real low. He has to like move out of that, and then Hard ends up dying in the pit. And I think I really like what both teams did in terms of catching people out, but I think Blue got a little bit too cocky there. But they did make the right reaction going for that play, because you know that Tristana and Janna are going to swap away from that cocky Thresh lane, and they read it. They just predict the swap and they go for a counter invade. Just a little too greedy doing a 3-buff counter invade, in my opinion.
I found it really interesting, actually, as the fight was going on. One, you talked about the man mode, unexpected Tristana jump. You saw Hart didn't flay it out. He could have flayed the rocket jump, saved the slow from happening. This is 4:14, so I'm pretty sure rocket jump is still a 2.5 second slow back in this patch. And then also Fnatic's shot calling, their target calling. They had Deft at like 100 health, but they realized they couldn't catch him with harpoons anymore. They said, let's go for this Thresh instead. Like, again, great choices.
So Crumbs, we haven't heard from you yet. What happened to Fnatic in the following 15-20 minutes that started their eventual downfall?
To me, what stood out this game had to be, we have usually every game that Fnatic was doing really well, Pekka was not on a split push champion. He was in something that was able to group with the team and generate plays that way. He was landing charms. He's playing really effectively. But as Zed against Talon got pretty far ahead, especially with that first blood. So it was a really difficult 1v1 that we saw get traded 1-for-1 left and right. And just the 4-man squad from Fnatic just didn't have enough coordination to surpass. Even though Soaz was 3-0, they were just, there was no communication between them to actually be able to come out ahead.
Yeah, both teams played a similar style where they have their mid laner split push on the side lane and have this 4-man squad try and like play the map. But because Tristana scales so slowly compared to a Corki, Def was basically, he was winning that game for his team. He was influencing the map, going from one lane to the other, going around, pushing down towers, while Fnatic was playing catch-up. And they had these couple of moments where they could capitalize and just counter-engage, but they kept using their Rumble ulti on every wave, and they basically dug themselves a hole they could never go out of because they need that Rumble ulti.
Let's pull the next replay up real quickly as we move the conversation along. Monty, you were quite excited about this particular kill.
This is just a beautiful kill, and it shows how confident Samsung Blue are in each other's playmaking ability. So let's just go and roll this right now. And so Cyanide's going to come into this rush. Now Heart's going to see him right here and wait for it. So right here, there's the Lantern going to go out. Dade's going to flash to the Lantern. Heart is going to flash forward after that, and then the ult and Ignite coming in from Dade after the cutthroat in order to get the kill. I mean, to be that confident against a highly mobile champion like Lee Sin, that you're going to use 2 flashes for that and then execute it perfectly, they got some balls.
Mind-boggling. We do need to move this one on. There's only 2 regularly scheduled games left in the group stage, so let's actually take a look at where the teams stand in Group C. So Group C, Samsung Blue rather, are 5-1. They've finished their group stages. The second place seed will be wrapped up in the final game between LMQ and OMG. The winner takes that last spot and they punch their ticket to Busan. Guys, we're going to step away for a moment, but when we come back, it's a fight between North America's Cloud9 and Korea's Najin White Shield. Don't go anywhere.
Just finishes Trinity Force. Got Shadow use Fertilizer. It's all about finding fights.
Deathmark going down, but is it going to be enough? Dade is going to be. Once again, looking for Peke. Actually lands the hook straight through the wall. I'm not sure about following through, but Dade will join in, and Peke goes down. So as he caught all on his own on the backside, he will be the focus. But now Monsoon comes in. There will be the Zonyas, but Soaz will go down. Soaz does go back. There's the diving from Dade. Are they going to finish the Breakless? They do. He's definitely gets that one. He's not done just yet. He wants to kill Yellow Star. Gets the